Hi, thank you for listening to Intuition Your First Sense. This is Vicki Baird. This episode is a training I did in my Wisdom Wednesday group, which meets once a month, the last Wednesday of the month from 7 to 8. And it's an ongoing class with each month having a different topic. Sometimes we build on the previous, but most of the time it's to increase your own intuitive abilities, to learn more about self-awareness, and to honestly create some habits that will help you support yourself in the life that you would like to live. So this class was so energized, and one that I felt like had information that I wanted to share beyond the class. So I thought I would include this for a podcast, and you can hopefully get the information that resonates for you. It's about intentions, and I do hope that you enjoy.
Thank you for coming back to Wisdom Wednesday. For those that are joining us for the first time this month, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. For this setup, basically, you have all the control. You can be on video if you want. You can be off video if you don't want. You will get a recording tomorrow at some point with tonight's information, and there's a chat box. If you have any questions during the time, you can send it to everyone, or feedback. Sometimes I'll ask for what do you guys think about this, or has anybody had this experience? Or you can send it to me privately and I'll read it and somehow incorporate it in, and hopefully not blur out anybody's name. If there are any questions, feel free to put them there. I'm going to run for the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so about tonight's topic, which hopefully everybody got the email. We've been having some communication challenges between all of the systems that are required to do this. So hopefully you got the email, and you know that tonight is about intentions. I think we hear a lot about intentions. At least I did when I first started looking into my own intuition and into spirituality and all that. I started to hear, well, set the intention, or what's your intention? And it dawned on me, even though I've taught a class on intentions, that we have not talked about it yet. And since we're in a time right now that is so charged, it's just so energetically charged right now. I don't know about the rest of you, but I kind of feel like I'm one of those kernels in a hot air popcorn popper, and about ready to blow at any moment. So holding in and holding space as much as possible. So I thought, well, that's part of setting an intention, and how we can navigate through these next few months in this country anyway. And I know some of the other countries are doing elections right now too. But then as we go to the beginning of a new year, it's a good time to set some goals. And we'll talk about the difference between an intention and a goal. And it's a good time to just get clear. Well, I think it's always a good time to get clear, but especially a good time at the end of the calendar year for us. So an intention is a purpose, or what do you want to bring about or create? So when you set an intention, you're becoming hopefully clear about what you would like to create. And to create, for me, this will be a little bit of law of attraction, a little bit of intention setting, a little bit of line your energy up, a little bit of everything tonight. So creation for me has a lot to do with how do I want to feel in my life. And with the law of attraction, there's a lot of talk about what you think you create. What you want to create actually comes from your feeling. The thinking process brings it in, because we have this gray matter and a pretty good brain. but things get created because we're feeling and how we're feeling about a situation or how we're feeling about what we'd like to create. And that's why it can get a little bit sticky in that I was very clear. I did my vision board. I wrote out intentions. I did all the journaling you could possibly imagine. I used up so many notebooks, all made of bamboo because it's, nicer to the planet. A little subliminal message there. But creating and what we want comes from a feeling. So that means that there can be blocks in the way that we don't even know about. So if you're bumping up against a block, I hope you really are kind to yourself and even kind of humorous or curious about it. Because it's showing up in order to help you clear, likely. So intention is creating a little bit more focus on what you would like to create. It's actually the action it's the beginning of the action part of manifesting, or lining up your behavior and how you are in the world. So the purpose of an intention is to help focus, and I believe to help connect with your soul, because your soul has a knowing of how it would like to navigate this human experience. So when you give yourself the permission to connect with that soul, and then you set an intention to connect with it, focus happens as a natural result of that. So it I think helps us to bring our life into joy and then feeling some sense of fulfillment. So it's a lot that happens all at once. And I think fun, but not always funny part is that you've been doing this all along. I mean, it's not like you just showed up today and have an awareness about creating and you all of a sudden have direction or whatever, but you've been manifesting, you've been creating. Now we want to bring intention into it. We want to bring that kind of laser focus. And there are some teachings that'll say, don't get too specific. I do not agree with that. I think that the more feeling, intention, even cognition that you can bring to a situation and merge it with the wonder of the universe, merge it with knowing that energy patterns and the whole, the light source, however you refer to it as, will usually amp it up a little bit. So don't be afraid to get in there and to put some specifics on things. When you're specific, I feel like it helps universal energy, it helps guides, it helps your own knowing, your own soul self, inner self, to know what the heck to do or where to go. Because there's just so much that's ambiguous in this world that you got to kind of take a little bit of charge here. So when you start working with intention, you'll find that the riffraff kind of drops off. So to me, that can include, and what I've seen in working with people around this, is it can include the messages that have been there through society, from others, and maybe even through your own past life. When you work on this focus and you decide, I'm in charge of my intentions, I'm in charge of how I want to feel and what I choose to bring into my world, you just pay less attention to the static that exists out there. And that includes your own inner critic, because that little bugger can be the loudest thing of any of them. So when you have this agreement with yourself that you choose to focus and you choose to be pleasantly surprised by what you manifest, it will take on a life of its own. It will create its own energy and it will propel you. And sometimes you'll be standing in the middle of a situation going, damn, I didn't even know I wanted to create this. And look what I did. I'm so cool. Well, at least I hope you say that. So the difference between a goal and an intention is the goal is the actual thing you'd like to achieve. The literal place, the literal feeling in your life that you'd like to achieve. So say it's peace, or it is, connection to self. That can be a goal. And the intention would be that each day I take, those micro movements that I love so much. I make just a little bit of M&M. I do a micro movement, and that takes my intention and moves it towards the goal. So a goal oftentimes can be quantified or labeled, where intention can't really, except for assessing how you feel inside. I forgot to tell you guys, have paper ready because I'm going to ask you to jot some stuff down. I meant to say that at the top and didn't. Or if you can take a note on your phone or whatever, however, write it on your hand, So when you connect the idea of, okay, I do have to set an intention. I want to be clear about what my goal is, knowing that sometimes they shift. The feeling of how you want to be when you achieve that goal is important. It is like the key to having that joy and fulfillment line up, because there's a little bit of forecasting, if you will, going on here. You have to kind of propel yourself forward into, how would that feel? How would I experience this? And do a little bit of daydreaming. Daydreaming is important. So when we're setting intentions, it's an investment that you make in yourself and in your life. I think it brings a level of peace, because then you get to know yourself so well that when something new is presented, you're able to say, oh, yes, that will line up. Oh, no, I don't think that will line up. Or I need more information. What else you got for me? In setting an intention, you really have to decide what truly matters to you. And this means that you have to get honest. And sometimes honest isn't pretty. Sometimes what's there in the face of honesty is, I don't want to be in this relationship, or I'm not happy at this job, or I really did eat that entire package of Milk Duds. Guess which one's mine? So you have to be willing to see the truth. You do not have to announce it. Sometimes the brain will do this fun little thing that when you start to look at your own truth, it thinks for some reason we're going to hire a computerized billboard and we're just going to put it all out there for people to see. That is not the case. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of counseling with yourself about, what do I truly feel? How do I truly feel? What do I want? What's needed for me to get there, and realize that it's not going to be announced unless you choose to share it. So in deciding what truly matters to you, values, you have to know your values. You have to know what is important to you. And so many people skip to, I just want to manifest. And it's like, well, okay, you can, but do you want to keep stumbling over things, or do you want to go direct? I'm more of a let's go direct gal. So what values do you have? Do you know what your values are? Because they drive the action in your life. And by recognizing them, they'll put the breadcrumbs down to lead you to fulfillment. They really will. So some of us will have gluten-free, the rest of you can have the regular ones. Um, so this is where the power lies in intention, is knowing what your values are. So this is where the first writing thing is going to come in too. How convenient is that? So an example, let me give you an example of some examples of value. So for me, my soul connection is my utmost value. And then behind that is reverence. And then behind that is actually humor. So there's we jump pretty quickly from a spiritual thing. I think humor is still a spiritual thing, but to an action point in my life. So happiness can be a value. I live my life in happiness. I intend to live my life in happiness. Wisdom might be important. Health might be important. Truthfulness may be important to you. So let's take about a minute here and ask yourself what truly matters to you. Don't worry about claiming it as a value, but what truly matters to you right here, right now. 5 things. And like we do every month, if you want to share, because sometimes that helps other people, or if you just want to share because it gives it energy, it's like a buy one, get one free, go for it in the chat area. The idea of knowing your values, and you'll likely have some more that drop in once you start this train rolling. It's kind of fun to start thinking, well, what do I need in my life? What's really important for me in order to feel joy, feel that connection to my soul, because your soul contributes to your values. Your human experience obviously enhances it. So health, happiness, peace, family, love, honesty, kindness, great values to have. That you can basically look at your life and see how you interact in relationships and get a sense of what you value. So integrity, that was one of the ones on my list. Intelligence, like Prudy says. This is a good practice also for looking at those relationships, because maybe there's an intention to be in relationships with those that are of like mind and like vibration. By the way, we should all have that intention. It just makes a lot less work. Sense of purpose, nice. Deep connection, you guys rock. Deep connection to love, to be loved, contribution, creation, financial freedom, learning, soul, health, spirituality, peace, fun, health, laughing, finding joy, animals, relationships, helping others. So connection to your heart and soul, after my own heart and soul. So inspiring others. Ooh, I like that one. When you know your values, when you really list them out, it's actually easier to know if those in our life are in alignment with them, because you'll see in their own personality, in their own actions, in their own interaction with you, that whether they agree with the same thing or not. If they don't, they'll likely pick on you for the things that are there, and you'll know, okay, is there a value? Do I value this relationship? Should I be valuing this relationship? Maybe I should reevaluate this relationship. So using what you've written down or thought of, if you're not in a place to write things down, that's fine. Think about the areas of your life and how it relates to what you've written down that could use like an upgrade, could use an infusion of your value, could use the intention of assessing just what those values are, and are you then applying them in your everyday life? So it's fine to say these are your values, but are you backing them up? Are you actually doing something with those values? Because intentions need that example or that connection in order to values, in order to move their way to goal. Okay, so, and intentions must include all aspects of our life. So for those that said, Nancy and Susan are value sisters. They have exactly the same ones. So the for those that said connection or spirituality, fun, that has to be in all areas of our life. It can't simply be in the everyday, robot part of our life. It has to be in our connection to our heart, to our soul self, to personal growth, to full potential. So I don't want to make it sound like you set intentions simply to meet goals, because that's a missed message that's out there. And that's not the case, because if you could improve your relationship with an intention to be a better communicator, how amazing would that be? If you wanted to increase community, I mean, that was one of my intentions this year, because I'm so good by myself that sometimes I forget it's really nice to connect with other people. So community was one I set at the beginning of the year to branch out into. And so it can be things like that. And you use your core values to guide you in that and what's important. And then you set one for each area of your life. So if you think of your life as like a pie chart, and in that pie chart, you have your physical self, your emotional self, the cat, your mental self, your community, anything you want to put in your pie chart, and then take one of your values and set an intention to increase that area. It's a good practice, because some of this can get just a little bit too, I've learned to put my drinks up there because the cat spills them. Some of these can get ungrounded. Like we have the intention of meditation every day, but anybody do it? Connecting values to my pie chart topics. Okay, I'll go back and follow up. Good job, Carol. So that's an example of an intention I hear all the time, is the meditation, or to work out every day. Don't do that. You can move every day. Don't work out every day. Or to make sure I journal every day. Feel the pressure of all of that? Okay, so the intention when you have a value, say, of peace, and the intention is to journal every day to find peace, but you're beating yourself up because you didn't journal every day, kind of hard to find the peace. So to swing back to that pie chart thing, because truthfully, that came right off the top of my head as a download. So I'm going to try and do it justice. Imagine a pie chart. I'm sure you're familiar with them, Sharon. And you can divide up that pie chart into any, so a circle, got the little connections in there, little triangles in there. You can put an area of your life, and I would suggest that you do that, in each segment. And it can change over time. Don't worry about getting everything on the pie. You don't need everything in the pie. That would be disgusting. So pick a subject and have it there. So if one of your segments is community, what you might do is set an intention that once a week, I'm going to reach out or research communities that are going on, mastermind groups, yoga class, pottery, I don't know. So the value would be likely connection or happiness, really, feeling supported. And then you take the value of wanting to feel that, and that if connection is important to you, you put community in your pie chart, you set the intention of reaching out once a week to do this stuff, you actually do it, then it becomes the goal. And then once that, maybe you connect with one group out of 5 that you reach out to, and that's fine, there's fulfillment. So the guides kind of jumped in on that one. I didn't have that on my paper. Think about what you came up with your words, and look at what you wrote. And then using those values, think about something you'd like to create in your life, something that you would like to happen. Let's just pick one value for now. You could do the other 4, however many you came up with, off session, but pick one of those values and think about something you would like to create in your life. Let's take the word goal off of it. Think about something that you would like to see happen, to manifest in your life, and write that puppy down. Thank you, Emily. That was good. Okay. Emily, can you shoot me the value associated with financial security so I can use it as an example? Because don't we all want that? So to feel safe or secure in this human experience, financial security is an option, is a connection. So the value of safety and security, and belief in self, I'm going to throw in there, goes into the pie chart of financial security. And then the intention could be, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but could be to really look over all of the spending that was going on within a month, and to do that for 4 or 5 months in a row. So you set the intention of financial security. The micro movement is to look at it every month, and then you could set a goal of diminishing, extra spending by 10%, something along those lines. So we often think of our spiritual world and our physical world as 2 separate things, and they're not. They must be enmeshed if you really want to have a good time here and achieve that financial security. So looking at it as kind of a relay race, or a handing off of the baton from one area to the other, you can then on your own go back and look at the other areas that you have and just try to connect the dots for yourself to get some kind of continuity going, some kind of practice, because intention alone will not do it. It just won't. You have to move thy arse. So you have to have some action behind it. And remember what I said earlier about being specific and thoughtful? Get in there with the nitty gritty. When you're setting an intention for each thing that you want to create, and then potentially that goal, what do you want to achieve? By when? Why do you want it? How will you feel once you've accomplished it? Jane, are you asking me, is it okay to be financially safe? And abundant and able to share with others, and challenging that whole anyone who has money is, would that be an intention? I'm going to finish my line. Anyone that has a lot of money can still be humble and connected. Would that be an intention or value? Financially secure would be the intention. The value would be the feeling of security, the feeling of That's how I want to feel in my life. I value security. So one of those areas that I do security in is I lock my door at night and I watch my spending. If you're working on communication, how do you work with someone who says, we are saying the same thing, but we are not? Truthfully, the first thing I would do is ask myself if I wasn't hearing what they're saying. So if you're working on communication, your intention would be clarity. Your micro movement might be those practices of repeating back to the person and then saying, is this what you said? Because I said this. And then I would look at the need to be right, if that was in there, just to take it a little off track a little bit. But first, get very clear. This is what I mean by the focus. Like, get very clear about what you would like from the communication. Is it clarity? Is it to be heard? Is it that you do arrive in the same place, even though you're talking about two different things? I would actually get it down to a smaller talking point. Like, what do we want to achieve here? Exactly, Madison. Put yourself in their space to understand where their thoughts are coming from, but also add in what they might be feeling. And sometimes there's a disconnect in people's communications with what they feel and what they're able to say. Doesn't mean they don't feel it. It's just like the little translator in here is out of calibration. And then sometimes you just got to move on and figure out. It's a little harder if it's a partner or a child or somebody who owns the business with you. Then that's a little bit more it's a little bit more involved. But yes, how they need to hear it is really important. So, okay. So you're specific. And then getting into the, I know that, Barb, feeling of what does that feel like? Like, what does it feel like that the communication is received? Oh my goodness. One of the things that I have said to people is, I think we're both trying to say the same things, but one of us is speaking Swahili. And the other one, that's not in their background. So we have to find a common vocabulary. You have to find a common vocabulary. So, any questions or anything on this? I'll be truthful. Some of this, there's a little call to action at the end, in that if we're all these amazing energy beings, if we could set our intention on forward movement for our country, I would really like that. So some of this is a little bit manipulative on my part, but I really want you to be able to start setting up what would you like to create and how would you like to feel within that, because there's no magic wand to this human experience, but that is one of the magic beans. So when you're thinking about what you need to do to accomplish something, we also need to look at what might block it. Because it's like a math equation, right? So you have your values and how you want to be, and then intention is a plus sign, and then you have your action and how you want to feel, and is the rest of the equation. Well, we have to look at what might be taking away from that equation too. So when you look at what you just did with your value and what you would like to create, can you feel, think, perceive, receive 1 to 3 excuses or blocks that may be in the way of that manifesting whatever it was that you wanted to create? 1 to 3 blocks or excuses, and then just write them down or ponder it out if you don't have Susan, I'm going to laugh just a little bit because I'm familiar. I know Susan. Well, actually, I pretty much know everybody on the call, which is fun for me. Inertia is not a word I would associate with you, but we can talk about that. So the blocks are key, and being willing to say them, speak them, write them, communicate, however it comes out, is gold. It's just absolute gold. Because until you look at them, until we say them, we can't do anything about them. Just reading a little bit here. Okay, you guys got some great ones. I'm sorry, but you have some great blocks. So with the when the block comes up, it allows you to get honest with yourself again. Thank you, Barb. Made me laugh. It allows you to be kind, I hope, to self. Because when I read these, I think, oh, okay. I'm just going to maybe hug that out of them, but that's not possible. And I really wish you could see your energy the way I see your energy, because I believe you guys, but then I look at it and go, well, I just don't know that that's completely true. And that's my question here for you. Are those things true? Like, are those reasons, blocks, excuses, are they true? Physical ones, maybe. There's always a little, but are they really? Because I'll use Madison's example of letting my family down, because it's so powerful. Because we block ourselves a lot in many areas because of the perception it's going to affect someone else. When in fact, most of the time, the people who really care and love about you are not going to feel let down. They're not going to feel that. You just didn't bother to interview them to ask it. And because we get trained in a certain way to make sure others are taken care of before we are. So then there's a limitation that ends up happening. And I feel like some of this other stuff, some of the other ones that I'm reading, bad habits set in my way, tired, exhausted, fatigue, fear, like, are they really true? Is there a tiger chasing you? Probably not. You're good to go here. Is the fatigue, maybe you're just friggin' tired of the excuses? I don't know. I've met that one in myself. So I'm not saying that the emotions that are coming up aren't valid. I'm just saying at some point, if you want to move forward and move out of this feeling of inertia, you gotta look at the validity of it. Is it true that that's really happening? Or is that the yakety that's going on in my head, or something I've either been told or told myself needs to stick around? Bad habits don't need to stick around. New habits need to be created before the bad habits will leave. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So there's going to be an element of truth in all of our excuses, but there's going to be mostly bullshit. And I think the more that we face that and look at it with, I am so dang creative. I came up with all of this stuff. And if I'm that creative to come up with my blocks, imagine if I move that energy to the place of my belief in self, or the desire for connection with my soul, and to have my intentions play out, right? So it's a transfer of energy. So Emily's saying, I want the power back. Want is fine, but what are you doing to get the power back? Right? You're capable of it. But this may be where you look at it and you say, well, whoa, I've been putting all this energy into paying attention to my fatigue and everything. If I unhook it, I'm seeing like one of those dryer hooks, like the 220 amp. Like I'm seeing one of those where you unhook it and go, okay, uh, where's the other plug? I want to plug it into moving forward. This is where intention lives. Thank you so much for lining that up for me. Intention lives in being willing to look at it and say, that is not working for me any longer. I intend to shift it over here. Are you going to get it 100% of the time? No, absolutely not. Not possible. Can you increase by 10% to get to 90%? Oh, fantastic. So each time, whatever you wrote down comes up, whatever you wrote down as your block or the belief there comes up, you got to be willing to look at it and say, I hear you. I'm just not believing you all that much anymore. I don't know, something's lost. What I choose to believe is that I have energy I can generate, and maybe I need to generate some energy in order to feel up. I am filled with energy. I did not deny, don't deny. I have energy. I choose to create energy. Like leave the fatigue and tiredness out of it. It's going to come up, but once it comes up, you don't have to affirm it. So you have to generate energy. It's true of all of us. You know, it's so easy to become a lump on a log and a couch potato. But once you start moving and grooving, focus on the supportive. Yep. So where am I plugging into? You let the thought come up. Do not beat it up. Do not judge yourself. You let it come up. And then you say, okay, plugging you in over here. I'm plugging you into walk around the block. I'm plugging you into changing the laundry over. Like it does often need a physical movement because we are solid. It takes the same amount of energy. Actually, I think it's more energy. It's draining. It takes more energy to feel drained than it does to feel lit up. If there's some truth, you're so good at beating yourself up, then you would be fantastic at a kickboxing class. If you're so good at beating yourself up, there's one on Howard Street in Pittsfield. She teaches a really good one. Or, you know, get a speed bag. See how that like so easily shifts? It's not because I want to put sparkles on something. It's because we really are in charge of where our brain wants to be. And if you're not doing the work, I'm sorry, you're going to be talking about this for 2 more years. And I can do the spiritual woo thing, but I'm not gonna. Because you know we have to feel responsible for this stuff because oh my God, the payoff is so good. It's so good to feel that lit up. Is it possible to be holding on to some of that bullshit while still making some micro movements towards shifting? Yes, absolutely. And that's a great point, Lisa, because that's why I said, are you going to do this 100% of the time? No, it's not possible. That's setting yourself up to fail, to think that you're going to all of a sudden have this epiphany and shift everything. It's when you start looking at the excuses, you become powerful because they no longer have the power. And then your micro movement from there, I like them. You know, I like the micro movements because you get to accomplish, you get to feel proud, you get to pat yourself on the back. Ouch. TRX was this week. I can't pat myself on the back. You get to feel amazing in a genuine, soul connected, centered way, not a fat head way, but a soul connected, centered way. So yes, Lisa, absolutely. But I need you to acknowledge those micro movements when you're doing it. It needs to be called on that. Look at me, I'm doing this one thing. Because again, there's no scorecard. Stop keeping score. Madison, I started working on removing this block by removing myself from family business. Do something for yourself. Take the steps to understand, want, need, as opposed to also always trying to be what I think someone needs. That stinking thinking will stop you every time. And yes, we need to be contributing members of society and connecting. But anytime you could do this practice, anytime you think you know what somebody else is thinking, ask them. You know what assume spells out, right? So don't do that. Either ask them or don't do it. Micro movement. I truly believe everyone is capable of shifting these things and moving through them, especially everyone on this call or in the group who might be listening tomorrow, because hello, your vibration's already there. So when you connect in the understanding of these processes and you've raised your vibration already, success. The important thing I think to remember in setting intentions is that they help create your present moment. It's really hard to have a practice of intention and be way out there. It's kind of counterproductive. So by creating the practice of intention, you automatically bring yourself present. So buy one, get one free. Whether what you intended at that time ever happens, that doesn't matter. It's the practice that will then create the other things that maybe you really wanted to happen. They really bring you in line with the reason you're here, or the reason you want to be, or who you want to be. And that I think is really important. And then they'll circle back. There's a recycling system here. They will circle back to creating more value in your life, not just fiscally, but emotionally, spiritually, and all that jazz. It does rely on you doing something every day to support it. Just to speak to Sharon, and then we're going to go to the meditation part. And if you have any questions, write them up. When I think of my intention, I sometimes think it's not possible. No one has done this. Well, that doesn't mean it's impossible. Simply because somebody hasn't done it. Somebody always has to do something the first time. So why can't it be you? Impossible? I'm possible? I'm going to shoot some holes in that theory there, Miss Sharon. It might take some effort. It's likely going to take some effort. Let's not BS ourselves. It's going to take some effort. But if you keep thinking it's not possible, it won't be. You're already setting the intention that it's not possible. So what about flipping that to, it is possible, I'm just not completely sure of what all the steps are yet. Doesn't that feel better? It's about the honesty about it. Our brains are funny, aren't they? So any question? This is one of my favorite topics, can you tell? I got really animated about it because it's so important. And I'm more and more, man, maybe this has to do with my own going around the sun, but more and more I'm really tired of fake answers and BS, just think your way to, and no talk about, well, did you do anything about it? Did you address this stuff? And then the joy that can come from that. It's so much fun to know that your stuff's going to come up, but you have all the skills to look at it, and you're even curious about what that stuff is. Your soul is very curious. It would not come here to be bored. All right. Well, thank you very much. For those that are joining us for the first month, what I do is I lead out with a meditation. And related to what we've spoken about. You may take yourself off video if you want. There's a couple reasons for this. I like to end on that very calm energy, but then it also, at the end, I'll say good night or something along those lines, and we save all those awkward goodbyes. So, and the forever good night thing, kind of like on Sound of Music. So, but this is where I also have to put my cheaters on. So take a couple breaths. Thank you so much for joining. Take a couple breaths. This is actually an intention setting meditation. You could do it first thing in the morning if you wanted to, but you can also do it at any point during the day. So let's take a nice deep breath. Clean out those energy centers. Keep taking the deep breaths. Don't worry about how many you take or how deep they are, but just keep taking them. This meditation is intended to cultivate your inner knowing, clarity, bring some calm, so that you could meet each day or each moment with the very best of who you are. So to start, just begin to settle into a comfortable posture. And when you're ready, allowing your eyes to lightly close. Bringing your awareness to wherever your body connects and contacts with your support service. Feel the sensations that are here and now. And then gently draw the focus to the rhythm of your breathing. You don't have to control or change the breath in any way. Let it be natural. Simply tuning in to the sensation as a breath. The breath arises and it passes, just like shifting tides. I'm going to ask 3 questions and then give you space to contemplate the answers, much like we did earlier. The first question is, what is it that matters the most to you right now? We can so easily get caught up in the momentum and rushing along with daily life, finding ourselves simply putting one foot in front of the other. You are going to live this day only once, or any day that you live. So don't you want to do it intentionally? That wasn't the question. The question is, so what matters most right now? Nice deep breath. The second question is, what would you like to let go of right now? Are you holding any resentments, any regrets, grudges, old beliefs, or thoughts that no longer serve you? What would you like to let go of? Very nice. Deep breath. My last question is, who do you choose to be now and moving forward? So in other words, what are the values you choose to express and live? In the world, in your relationships, in your interactions, in your rest, who do you choose to be? Just let the answers come. Could you choose to be present? Do you choose to be kind? Courageous? Who do you choose to be? When you connect that choice with an intention, you get to meet yourself. And I promise you, yourself is amazing. Dropping into awareness, bringing your attention to your breath, taking a deep breath in and a steady breath out. As you prepare to reconnect with the world around you and continue your evening, perhaps make an intention to take these questions, the awareness, and the clarity with you. And remember, if at any time of your day, any day, you find yourself caught up, stressed, reactive, off-center, or feeling a little disconnected from self, you can always take a pause. You can take a slow, deep, conscious breath. And once again, connect. And remember what matters most. You. Have a great evening. Sleep well. Be well.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you're interested in Wisdom Wednesday, feel free to go to the website, vickybaird.com, and check under booking, and you'll find the information there to sign up for the subscription. I am so grateful that you listened to this episode and that you're participating, and I hope you have more of an understanding of how values and our intentions can lead to completing some goals, which then allows us to feel fulfilled. I wish you all the best and be well.